Hi everyone, I am just back from seeing Sister Midnight, and this is my one take review. One person, one take, just an effort to be really spontaneous about what I saw. This film drove me crazy. It made me want to leave the cinema, but I also loved it and thought it was kind of one of the best films I've seen in years. And I think that's because it was completely uncompromising, and that's what I want to really celebrate about it. This is a film that gives no quarter to the commercial dimension of cinema, in the sense that it's a very fun story, but it's told in its own eccentric way, refusing all kind of consolations of traditional narrative structure. It's made by Karan Kandhari. I think his first feature or possibly his second, and it has a wonderful central performance by Radhika Apte as a young woman who's married, moved to Mumbai, but then comes to realize that this marriage is going to be a trap. She can't really keep house, which is the role she's supposed to have in the marriage. Her husband is unwilling to consummate it, and she feels completely out of place. She can't seem to bond with her neighbours, though she does go on to make one good friend. And she is basically a fish out of water. And what it means to be a fish out of water just goes to such extremes in this film, because about a third of the way through, it shifts from being a film about a plausible social realist predicament to a film about a woman who bites their heads off birds. Simple as that. And you just have to accept that. And in some ways, I think this is kind of as eloquent a statement about the world we're actually in as something like Everything Everywhere All at Once, which also seem to capture now, because if you had to describe one thing about the various horrors breaking over our world, it's this feeling of overwhelm of everything everywhere all at once. But the other thing that I think I feel constantly in our current climate is that absolutely fucking anything can happen. Like, almost anything seems possible. And this film is a genre piece for our times because it's simultaneously overextended and vast. Like, the idea is crazy and limitless. And once you get to the zombie goats, and you will get to you will keep watching, you will get to the zombie goats, you know that there are no rules in this universe, or if they are, the rules are opaque to us, and we just have to accept it. It's the genre of the fait accompli, the genre of the look, it's like this, okay? And I recognize that feeling so well from just opening up the news. The truth is that at the same time as this is an endlessly expanding film, it's also, and brilliantly, a film for the attention-starved people who are bound to be watching it. People who cannot keep attention on a narrative for more than 3 minutes. It's all of us in some ways these days. And what it does is it tells this quite lengthy tale about this woman's life, quite complex, in tiny 1 or 2 minute vignettes from her life that sometimes don't obviously connect, and that quite often require her to step outside naturalism. In other words, not just the naturalism of what happens and whether it's realistic or not, but also at times she seems to become almost artificial in her gestures. She freezes up like a statue, or she shuffles, or her face, she turns into what looks like a silent movie star, and then it breaks and it moves to something else. And this, to me, is at the core of this film. Is it shrinks everything down to these tiny narrative units at the same time as it opens the universe up, throws the lid off everything, and allows anything to happen. So that combination of shrinkage and infinite expansion of possibility makes the film feel like you might get a nosebleed. You know, it's just so overwhelming as a an experience. You're sort of getting lift off, but everything is juddering at the same time. Everything is staccato and foreclosed at the same time. I don't know whether that effect entirely works, but I do know that Karan Kandhari is an extraordinary filmmaker, and this is a film that everyone should see. Enjoy. Thanks.